welcome back to CIDC on Wednesday. Today we have Andy Wilton, who was our very first Clarion Live speaker 10 years ago.
10 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, he's been programming in Clarion for like 30 years. But my question to him, look at this guy. Does he look like a Formula One driver? How many years have you been doing Formula One?
Oh, no.
Racing?
I wish. Driving. Just playing.
Okay.
Don't know. A while. No, only on and off. Hobby. Playing.
That's impressive, though. I mean, I'd be scared. Okay. So anyway, he's growing. You know, when we first met him, he was doing templates on the side. Yeah, he's eating well. He's getting wealthy. So anyway, he's going to show us some neat stuff today. You can introduce your own topic, right?
Yep, okay.
And I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
John gave me 20 seconds.
Cheers, Arnold. Okay.
Cheers, as they say.
So the topic today is, and it could be really short, because I'm not sure I've got enough material. So the bad news is you've got to listen to me. Good news is we're probably on for an early lunch. We had a scenario where we needed to be able to merge data from an older version of an application into a newer version. And the newer version, for the particular scenario, the data structure is probably 50% matched at best. And we also had maybe some data recovery scenarios where we had to merge data. There was one folder of a version which half the data was there, half not, because of backup and corruptions, and there was another version which the backup was a bit newer, but not of the same quality, and you have to get that output. And I'm sure we've all been probably in that kind of scenario where we've wrote a little one-off tool at one time or another. So what I've created for us to take a look at, and of course it'll be for download via the CIDC and so on, is just a little utility which will allow you to basically hook in multiple dictionaries into the same application. So then it makes it easier for us to say, okay, we need to access these tables and these tables and these other tables, and they all happen to be our customer table, that kind of scenario. That makes sense? Let's take a look. So we're going to use the first scenario is where I've purposely kept the data structure the same here. All I want to do is just take the data out of a TPS application and put it into a SQL database. Okay? I'm not saying this is your full SQL conversion. There's many good utilities out there to do that. But what we'll just demonstrate is how you could really write your own, really simple. And of course, you'll have a source code to what you see here. So feel free to morph it to your own requirements. Let's familiarise ourselves with an application. And you've probably seen the name of it, Invoice App. One which shipped for Clarion for many years. Even Bob showed it this morning. I thought he was trying to steal my thunder. And this is just a plain vanilla, the example what got shipped many years ago. We'll take a look, and there we go. Okay, so, and we've got our data. Now, I meant to have this open, sorry. I've got a database. I've just called it NYS demo for today's purposes. Should have really called it invoice thinking about it. While that's opening, we don't really need to wait for that. Let's just quickly have a look at we've got invoice TPS, and I've just copied the same application. As I say, these structures will be the same, and I've just copied it to invoice SQL, which is the regular way you would start, and so on and so forth. So I've just created myself a couple of global variables, one to store that says drive, it should be driver, but one to store the options, one to store the actual connection name. And the only difference in these is we've changed the file driver and then put the global variables in their place. Okay? And the table name, what will be created in SQL, is the same as our table name in Clarion. So they're all pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so that's opened. This is just a local SQL Express. And we have a look, and we should have a database here, NYS demo. Hopefully it hasn't got any tables. Oh, it has, that's a minute ago. What I've done to help us out, and again you get these scripts, I don't know if they're any good to you, is a couple of little scripts. One is to empty all the tables, and one is to drop all the tables. Doesn't matter if we run it against master, it won't do anything. They're protected. Right. And the other script, drop all tables. Okay, so we'll just run that against NYS demo. Thank you very much. So we'll just refresh that. And we haven't got any, so that's good. It's a useful little script actually. If nothing else, you'll get a SQL script out of it. Okay, so now we've got an empty database. So how are we going to do this? I hear you ask somebody. We're going to compile the original invoice TPS. So this is our TPS version, and God, I don't like this resolution. Oh, I'm in the dictionary, that's why. Right, sorry. Scenario 1, invoice TPS. We're going to compile that. And I don't know if anyone's ever really taken a look at the application .clw. So in this case, it'll be invoice.clw. What it contains, as well as all your class definitions and your global variables and so on, it actually contains, as long as you're not declaring your data in modules, it contains the actual Clarion definitions of your tables. So we'll compile, and we've just done that, and let's just take one quick look. So we should have our invoice. And yeah, here's our invoice CLW. Lots of includes, some globals, start of our file declarations, which is good. This is what we need. And the rest of basically the startup, the initialization of your application. So we want this. We don't want all of it, but we do want this bit, the customers, the orders, the file declarations. Okay? We're not going to go, if we had to do this step over and over again, we'd be going into there and having to keep editing it and so on, and that'd be pointless. So I've created your little utility. We'll actually have a look at the source of the utility, but what it'll do is we'll go to our scenario 1, invoice TPS, and we've just seen our invoice CLW, and I'm going to output it. I'm going to put it into a little, basically a folder where we're going to convert the data. I'm going to put it in there, and I'm going to put it in invoice CLW. Okay, so now we've got what's just been generated via Clarion and what we want out of the other side of that. Okay, now I'm just going to open this so we can see. And just go down to, let's choose one of them, choose customers. Okay, we need that declaration, brilliant. We're going to have, from our SQL dictionary, we're going to have that same table, same structure, same everything, except the file driver is going to be different, the name is going to be different. Okay, the keys, the structure, the columns, the fields, they're all going to be the same. So we're going to get a name clash if we try and access both of them at the same time. So what we need to do is we need to modify these. So in our conversion, we're going to say, let's give it an identifier. And for us here, we're going to give it an identifier of TPS. So we want this, and all of them, will to turn into TPS underscore customers, and TPS underscore key customer number, full name, so on and so forth. And all these elements, so this is a segmented key, so we want this, this, and this to all change. And of course, you might have some external names in there as well. We don't want to go modifying those names. We only want to modify, potentially, that name. Of course, if it's a constant. If it's a variable, you wouldn't want to modify it because you'll already have that set in your application. So we need to modify this so that it's not going to clash with the SQL version. Okay, so that is what this identifier is going to do. And the last but not least, I want to modify that path. So I'm going to put something in here, just to make it for our conversion program. We'll put them off nice and tidy into a subfolder, so we can identify where the source TPS tables are. So we'll keep that open for comparison. That's our original. And I'm going to say, okay, that's a TPS /. So let's convert that. Okay, it's not the biggest of dictionaries. I've run this on large 354, 450 tables, and it's fine. It kicks out the other side just as you would expect. And there's our tables, and it's found those tables just in the order that they've been declared, not our order, with their prefixes. So that's our TPS we've seen. Let's have a look at what it created for us on the other side. We asked it to put it in there for us. Oh no, we didn't, sorry, not there. We asked it to put it in convert data includes, yeah. So there's an invoice CLW created there. This invoice CLW, that is the start of the file. So this one, we've got waffle beforehand. We don't want any of that. And it ends, obviously, as you would expect, at the last table. And more importantly, it's changed. So now our table is called TPS states, and our path is TPS / states. Our key is TPS underscore STA, compared to just STA. And the segmented key, we had customers we were using, and if we go down to the customers, there we go. All the elements of the key, all the elements of that key are all modified. So now we've got basically the same tables, same dictionary, if you will, one tied to our previous TPS, one tied to our, what's going to be our SQL. We mentioned here, we've got no tables, so I'm going to get, going to run a SQL. And we've got the create attribute on, so we're just running this. We'll create the SQL tables. So we're not doing this as a TPS to SQL conversion, but you can see it's not going to take you too much to start modifying this to your own requirements. We refresh this, and we've got a company table so far because that's all I've opened. Yeah, we'll just whatever, we don't put a company in. And now we should have some more tables. No data, of course. But now we've got a SQL version of the invoice app. And let's just refresh our tables, and we should expect, yep, as we've been opening them, they've been created. Brilliant. Going to run our script to get rid of those. Drop, that's fine. So now we've got two versions of the dictionary. Let's go to, I've created you an empty shell, and for speed, I've actually created the bits of code. So we've got an application. I put it into a subfolder called convert data for scenario 1. Oh, sorry, I promised I'd show you the convert, if you will. Convert dictionary. So you'll be able to modify this to your heart's content. It's got a few little sub-source procedures which might come in handy for you. So it'll take a file and read it into a string. checking it exists, so it does an API call for the exists and so on. And the flip of that, it will take a string and write it out to a file. So, for example, just got a particular structure that it can go, taking the data, reading it. Check it exists, we're more interested in this. Okay, try and find the size of what we've got to go and read, loop through, and basically get what we want from it. So our file will now be in a string, and it's a dynamic string, so it will be created to the correct size as you would want. Okay, so we've got some little support source routines which will help us out, but the main code is in here. When we hit the convert, it's going to read in the source, and it's going to go and modify the contents. And what we don't do is, if we go back to the original, okay, it has got that, but I'm not convinced that, somebody might correct me wrong here, I'm not convinced that that comment has always been there. I'm going back to like Clarion 2 and so on and so forth, but I'm not sure that's always been there. So it doesn't rely on anything. Basically, it's looking for the very start of the very first file, and it's scanning to the very end of the very last, not that one, the very end of the very last file. And then within that, it's identifying basically the header part of it, the record part of it, and the keys and so on and so forth. So it's not a bad little utility, it's not a bad little job. Bit heavy going on the reading if you ever want to scroll through it, but it's your source code afterwards, so if you want to manipulate it, feel free. It does another job, but we'll show that in a second. So we've got our convert data. Very simple window, and I've just put a progress bar on there, and I've put a prompt on there. Not too exciting. So now we want this to take the data out of TPS, put it into SQL. But I don't want to have to go, okay, I need you to do this file for me, followed by this file, followed by this file, because I want it to be dynamic. I want to use it for the invoice app, I want to use it for the school app, I want to use it for X, Y, Z, Z, A, B, C, so on and so forth. So I don't want it tied to any particular dictionary, so to speak. I suppose you have got to tie it to the current dictionary you're going into. So we've got a series of includes. Okay. First of all, sorry, I had to go back a step. At the global level, we need to include the TPS declaration. And that is our data structure which has just been generated for us. So it's still TPS and so on, but it's the data structure of the source tables. We just include that. So all of them file declarations are now available to us to use. And of course, I'm going to need some kind of global connection string. I never use these passwords, so you feel free to note them down. They're not going to do you any good. But that's our SQL connection. No, one second. I have suffered all week with a sore throat and a cough, so this is the best it's been. Okay, so we've got some kind of connectivity, and we want to go and do some includes and so on and so forth. So what we want to do is include part of a file that's been created for you, and this is the transfer aspect of it. And there will be some data declarations aspects of it, followed by the actual transfer routines as well. And it's our convert program which has done that. Not only does it write you this file, which is our dictionary, but it creates you an include file for your conversion program. So here's a section of your data declarations. Here's a declaration of your map, and it creates you a procedure per table that's just been converted. It populates a local queue with those, And this is really from a UI point of view. If you've got a large project, 350, 450 tables, you're going to want to know where it's up to from a progress bar point of view, where it's up to from the job completion point of view, if you will. So it's going to create your local queue of tables. And this is the actual transfer. So it actually writes you the code where it's going to go, okay, get a record, update a local variable, so local to this, of course. Oh, I should mention, you've probably seen GV, and now you've seen LV. It's just my convention. LV is local variable, GV is global variable, LG is local group, that kind of thing. Okay, so it's going to go through, and it's going to call. So basically, it's wrote our program for us. So back to Clarion and look at our application, and let's run that, so let's compile it. Okay, let's do a convert. Oh, bear in mind, as we said, we haven't got anything here. Let's just recap. Oh, it's opened. Sorry, we've just opened the application. I'm going to close it. And I'm going to delete them all again, so we know exactly. There's no tricks going on, no tricks of the trade. Right, there's nothing there. We run our convert program. They should all be there, empty of course, because it just created them for us. And then let's just do a run. There's not so much there's not too many records in it, so of course it's going to be, quite fast. Now, if we have a look in our SQL, and let's do a select star from customers. We've got a load of records in there. And better still, let's actually run our SQL version. There's obviously no TPS tables in here, because they're just not needed. So now all of our data is taken out of our TPS, put into the database for us, and you've got basically the SQL version of your application up and running. You will, chances are, this was a very clean conversion, just that version of program source, version of program destination, identical structures. And it's just doing a deep assign for all the records it can find. That covers one of the scenarios which we had. To be fair, the first scenario we did actually have to morph some of the data in between. What John's doing, that's all. Okay. Any questions on that? I think we do questions as we're going along. We've only got 20 minutes anyway. Any questions on that? Did it kind of make sense? Anybody awake? Okay. So then we go to a second scenario, which I've just been setting up here, and I've not done it. I've not practiced it. So this could go really good, or it could go really bad. And if it's really bad, we're just going to end early. So the scenario for the second, let's close this. The scenario for the second was, okay, we've taken that invoice app, and what do we have? Yeah, in this one, in the customers, they add extra fields in it. They had this version had a mobile website, a mobile field and a website field.
Stop for just a second, we've got a glitch in.
Yeah. We're just going to pause for a couple of seconds while we try and get the online feed in sync. Try again, any questions on that? Where we don't need, and it can just be audio. Okay. we had these issues first thing on Monday with the training. It's happening all over again. I'm convinced this is Bruce. John and Arnold are doing a good job, and I think this is Bruce.
Sorry, one moment.
While we're waiting, the scenario we're going to do is we shall attempt. For the second scenario, the idea is we've got what would have been a backup copy, if you will, of your application at some point in time in the past. You've got another copy of the application, but it's not quite the same. The fields don't quite match for both of them. And then you've got the latest version, which really should be a concatenation, a collection of both sets of data. So we're going to use, we can still talk through it, in fact I want to stand and walk. We're going to use the same utility, create a conversion CLW for version 1 of the application, create a conversion file for version 2, and then do our include, our convert program. But instead of just one include, we're going to have 2 includes. So now we've got access to the latest set of dictionary for our TPS, or it could be SQL, doesn't really matter. Could be 2 different data sources going into one database. What we're going to do, our connection to our final, so we've got our definitions of our final output, our application, but we've got access to the 2 incomplete sets, if you will. And we're going to use a deeper sign. The only difference we would do is the conversion script which has been generated for you, we would manually, for the tables, and my example would have the customer table being slightly different between all 3 versions, and the product table being slightly different between all 3 versions. Now, we don't have to get our hands dirty to say this field, this field, this field, because we're using deeper sign. All we would need to do is just say we want to, instead of just expecting the destination to be empty and write the records straight away, we're just going to do a get. And if it doesn't exist, write it. And if it does exist, update it. So we can actually don't particularly need the screen and so on and the laptop. So that would be the approach I would use. If we get the green light, we'll continue. So if anybody I find it hard to believe that nobody would have had a scenario where you've had to take data out of a database, be it TPS, whatever, and put it into another of a different file drive or of a different shape. Or is it just us in our application? Got me worried now. So, in its rawest form, you could actually use it as a TPS to SQL conversion. What I would do there is I don't know if I can do this, what I would do is go into the file for the includes, which has been created for you, and you've got your transfer routines all created. And if we had to, let's say, prime up a certain field, maybe you go into SQL and you want GUIDs on all of your tables. Well, you just go into the include and insert that line in the relevant tables. Run it through compile your conversion program, run it, and hey presto, your destination will have it.
Okay. The direct line we run, so we put a camera on it, so it's not a good quality. It's just
Okay.
You might let the online people know that.
Isn't live fun?
Brilliant.
I think I was just going to ask you what you kind of just said is that you were talking about using, now can they hear us online? They just can't see us? Okay. Okay. You're talking about like using the deep assignment to do the set
The structure,
between
yeah.
the two?
A against
So you do have the ability to like embed some custom code that where maybe you want to take that a step further than just a straight transfer of the
Of
fields
course.
that match?
Yeah, yeah. It generates you an include. It generates you various elements within the include. Some declarations, which it doesn't really need, if truth be told. But imagine you're doing a 350, 400 table conversion and you can't see where you're up to or what file it's on. You don't know if that's going to finish before lunch or it's going to be tomorrow afternoon. So you want some kind of progress. So it creates you some variables for you to use on the screen and so on and so forth. But then it creates a map statement, and the key thing is it creates you a procedure per table. So if there's 300, 354, whatever, you're going to get 300, 350, 400 procedures. You're just going to go to the particular table which you need to do your magic in and just modify that bit of the include. That's how I would approach it and so on. I mean, it's a one-off utility. We could enhance it, but I'll be honest with you, I knocked this together, I think it was Thursday of last week. I had a very raw version back in the office, so it wasn't as though I was going completely blind into it, but the raw version wouldn't have been a generic for everybody here. And the idea is that you could take that and use it yourselves.
So would you like create one of your include files fundamentally for like each database version that you had in your application, and then in theory you could create a program that could take a version 2 and take it to the current, or a version 1 or whatever.
Definitely.
The database that you had that's coming along.
You could, yeah. Yeah. Well, I promise you an early lunch. It looks like we're going to be having that early lunch, doesn't it? Bruce, come on, just admit it. What have you done? Well, it was, I mean, John's just saying, do you want to pick it up? Well, we'll see. Let's see what we can continue at least show the concept. So, what we're saying is, I've lost my chain of thought now. Okay, this is the one particular definition, if you will. So, in this one, we've got a customer table which has a mobile and a website. And let's just jump back. We want scenario 2. And in this dictionary, the customer doesn't, but the product has a shortcode, which the other one didn't. So they're roughly the same, they're just not quite identical. In fairness, I'm not quite sure how anybody would get themselves into this kind of predicament, but, you know, if it happens, you would be catered for it. And then our output would be the latest version of your application. So this is the latest and greatest invoice app, if it's ever been called that. And this one would be the customer with your mobile and website, and your products with the shortcode. So that's basically like a combination of the first version and the second version. And what I would do, like I say, we've not tried this, is I would run my convert dictionary. Oh, I need to compile them, because what you will always need as a source is, let me just open this, invoice 1. We're going to need that raw CLW. That's the key. So let's compile that. Okay, and of course that should run, as you would expect. And our customers does have hang on a second, if I compiled the wrong one. Oh, that was scenario 1. Sorry, apologies. Scenario 2, invoice 1. So invoice 1, invoice 2, invoice TPS is our central output, if you will. So that's going to generate us our invoice CLW for that particular version. And just to show you, your customers would have this website. I put some silly data in, but you would have a field available to you. If you've got a really large application and maybe for whatever reason, maybe limitations and compilations, you have this flag, generate file declarations in modules, then just while, keep that for your application, but just while you want the output for this utility, untick it so that our application.clw will have all of the file declarations. We do need them all in one file so we can parse it and convert out accordingly. Okay, so there's that. Quickly, we want the invoice 2 from scenario 2. Quick compile. Customer won't have it, but the product table will have an extra field in, so now we've got 2 which are different. Okay, so customers, no, and products, yeah, an extra field. Okay, and more importantly, we've got those generated files, them generated CLWs. So let's run our convert. Run it against the first one. So scenario 2 is what we're talking about. Invoice 1, invoice. I'm going to run it to scenario 2 convert data. I'm going to put it in a folder there, and I'm going to call that invoice 1. Invoice 1. Invoice 1 TPS. I'll do inv1, and we'll call it inv1 underscore. That'll make it easier. That's that conversion. Same again, but this time for 2. Invoice 2. Oh, yep. Can't remember I put CLW on there. Ooh. Don't think I did it on the other one, I'll just rename them. We put that in as inv2 and inv2 underscore there. For that conversion. Let's have a quick look at what we've got. So scenario 2, convert, and we put them in here. Yeah, I thought we had, we forgot. I didn't put that in, that's my fault, sorry. That's that one, and of course what it would have done in here. As you probably gathered, whatever you type in, it creates the include file of that with an underscore include on it. So now we've got the structures, of course. Yep, perfect. Inv1 with a subfolder. Inv2, and so on. And the includes. I've got one thing there which I should have really helped us on. We're going to get 2 sets of transfers, so we're not actually going to be able to do that. What I'll do is, before I give it to CIDC, I'll have it so that the procedure name actually has part of your prefix in it as well. So that would be inv1 transfer and inv2 transfer, if that makes sense. To generate that, and if you ever wanted to modify it, I've got our Convert Dictionary app, and I mentioned earlier, we just go into it. This is where it modified the contents. So I said it was a bit heavy going. It has to calculate where the files truly start and what keys you've got within the files and so on and so forth. But it's documented. You know, you can take a look. You can you shouldn't really need to modify that. I'll be honest. It's the next bit where it creates the include. So to go back to like Rick's question, if there was a particular thing you wanted to do in every one of your files, you could go down to the include, and it's really, really simple. What I've just done is basically we've got a variable LV for file data. I think it's a type any, if memory serves. And basically we just build it. So I've built it a line at a time. So you've got a carriage return line feed on the end. So I made it really nice and simple so you can see how it builds the include file for you. And I've put them into the sections. So that's where it's going to write the data section for you. That's where it's going to write the data maps, and it loops the queue for everyone. So that's where we would want to create this as whatever the prefix is. You know, transfer, put the prefix in it, and the name of the procedure, so that we would have a set of transfer procedures for INV1, a set of transfer procedures for INV2. That's where it does initialize the data, and there should be the actual transfer procedures. And this is the actual procedures where it's going through. So if there was a particular thing where you wanted to... Sorry, no, that's the actual code. So this is the include part of the transfer. It's opening, it's doing a clear, it's doing a set key, and just going through. So you probably want to modify that to say, okay, attempt to get the record, and if you've got it, put the record, and if you haven't got it, add the record. And that would be your transfer program done. And if you wanted to always prime up the second field in every table, which was maybe a GUID that you've introduced, and you wanted to prime it up with an API call to generate a GUID, or a utility to generate a GUID, you could modify this little script, compile the conversion program, and hey presto, you've got your convert data program, and hey presto, you've got your conversion app written for you. That's the principles behind it. Hopefully you'll find it useful. If you get stuck or you want me to modify it and so on and so forth, I will include the prefix, so to cover this second scenario which I was saying. But yeah, basically, feel free to use it. And if you get stuck, I'm at the end of an email or Skype or Monday user group, which we hold every Monday. Yeah, just give us a shout and I'll help out. That's it really. Thank you very much.
Any questions?
Hi, so in that second scenario, you had one field that existed in one source file and another field or two in the other source files.
Yes.
And you said the way you suggested to get them both is to read the first one, and if it doesn't exist, you create the record, and otherwise you just update. But if you have both of those records existing, and the second one, the first one is going to create a record, but then the second one will overwrite the field, will it not?
It would. I mean, in that scenario, the fields from INV1 didn't exist in INV2, and vice versa. So you wouldn't have overwrote any data because there was nothing to overwrite, that kind of thing. And the deeper sign would have ignored the ones that don't include. So you would have been fine from that point of view. But I do get your point. I mean, it's a generic starter for you. Yeah. You know, for the more, not necessarily more complex, it's a perfectly valid question, but for certain scenarios, yeah, you're going to get your hands dirty. But you're going to be getting your hands dirty at the very finite point. You know, you've got to, I consider it not a bad start for you. So, and that was the intention. You know, when they did the TPS to SQL, that was relatively simple because everything matched and so on. So yeah.
Any other questions?
No, I think that could be a wrap. No?
Bruce is going to give us a few words on the app and
No, the app
website.
we're done.
No, materials. Turn it on. Here, use this. Hug it.
Apparently, if it's lunchtime, you put it like this. And then everyone gets a hint. All right. So just a little update on the conference materials, the proceedings, as they're sometimes called. So what will happen is, after the conference, we get from the presenters all the slides, all the source codes, all the little example apps, everything like that. That gets zipped up and pushed up to the CIDC site. If you are at the training, there's a training materials button that you click. There's a PDF up there already, but there'll be zips of other things. There's all Andy's stuff to go up, all my stuff to go up, and so on. If you're a conference attendee, there'll be a button. I think it just says materials, but it's been 2 years, so forgive me if I got the text wrong, but it'll be there. And or presentation materials, and we'll just gather everything together from all the presenters and put it up there. That's not going to go up this week, so please, you can refrain from emailing and asking where they are. People have to go home and unpack their suitcase, and we have to whip a few presenters to get everything up, but we will get it up as soon as possible. A couple of weeks, give us a little bit of grace there. The recordings, of course, are online. You have those links. You can go and watch those recordings again immediately if you want to. And yeah, if you've got any other questions, just remember the presenters are, in fact, around. Should be in the solutions room straight after their presentation, so go ask them. Maybe there's something that you want to know, something you want to do with them. Go for it. Cool. Thanks, everyone.
Wait, we got prizes.
We've got prizes. Who do we want to give to?
Huh?
Who do I want to give to? Just you whisper the name, and I'll make like that's the name
Okay.
I pulled out.
All right. So the prizes we got from Alexandro
Let's
again.
go stand on the stage.
Just, do you have?
Yeah,
stand.
Alejandro gave us...
Wait.
No.
Making me feel awkward sat down here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is working, but okay.
Let's walk over there.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. You got us? Okay. So we got two prizes. We got one from Alexandro Developer.
Alejandro.
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 Okay, whatever.
Okay.
Say it again.
Alejandro.
Everybody say it.
Alejandro.
Thank you.
It's
I don't
not
have to
so
say it.
hard.
See?
It's not so hard.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, another auto backup. And then TS Plus, you guys heard them the other week on the RDS night. That's that security thingy.
You got to hold the mic up.
Hold the mic
Yeah.
up. How about this?
Dave Harms wouldn't have this
Dave.
problem.
Yeah, he would not.
He would not.
Yeah.
He's got experience.
He has experience, and I am retired. Okay.
Retiring.
Which one should we
retired.
pick first?
What are we picking? Alejandro's one?
Yeah.
And the other one was the RDS Night.
Yeah.
RDS Night. I think RDS Night. RDS Night. Isn't
Han
RDS Night?
Rudy. Is that right?
It's
Did I
Hans,
say
Hans
it?
Rudy? Yes? Hans Rudy.
Hans Rudy.
Hans Rudy.
Where is
Where's Hans Rudy?
Raise
There
your
he
hand.
is, down the front row.
Okay.
Hans Rudy is, of course, sporting what all the cool kids are wearing this week.
What is that?
So,
A lanyard.
go up and have a look and see what he...
Boy, this is like free advertisement.
Well, what do you
Okay.
think this is?
I think so.
Yeah?
Okay, and the second one is TS Plus.
And that... Oh, so what was the first one?
That was the
The
Alejandro.
auto
Yeah.
backup.
Oh, that was the Alejandro one. Okay.
auto backup.
Order back.
Auto backup.
Okay.
And this is-
TS Plus.
Yeah.
This is
And his initials are RA.
RA.
Raise your hand if you have an RA initials.
Do you have RA? Anyone?
If you're not in the room, you're not going to get it. Oh,
Yeah.
that's the guy.
There's the guy. Robert, well done.
It's either Robert or Roberto. Yeah,
It's not-
okay.
You know, he
So
signed
we
up,
got to
he
go
signed
let
up.
people go have lunch. But you see the two people back there at the table? Got to give them a hand, right?
Yay.
So now you know who they are, John and Mary. At what time? 12:55.
Yep.
They're going to do a little chit chat on Onusa.
A surprising new thing, I'm told.
Surprising.
A surprising new thing.
What
So
is
I'm looking
surprising?
forward to that. A, it's surprising, and B, it's new, and C, it's a thing.
Otherwise, lunch is
Free
from
for
now
stuff,
to 1:30,
But be back
unless you come back at
12:55.
12:55.
Come back at 12:55.
And then the
Don't
prize
miss out.
after they talk.
Yep, we'll do a prize.
Oh,
Then.
it might be one of them boxes.
It might be one of them
One
boxes.
of them boxes. Got to be here.
That's a very nice laptop.
Laptop.
That's a very nice
Not a
laptop.
problem.
5 people
Okay,
are going to be real
thank you guys.
happy by the
Have
end
a
of this
great
week.
lunch. Straight across. It's
Just keep going.
yeah. Don't
Just
pay
keep going.
them. Just go in there and eat. Just show them your
Yes,
tag.
keep going.
Bye. For now.
Right, Hans Rudy.